Hello guys, it's time for another video. Thank you so much for participating in the January challenge if you did that, and continue to like, subscribe, share with friends, and comment, of course, because I always love when you guys comment and I can respond to everything that you guys say. I really appreciate everything. So moving in to the content for today, I am going to share with you guys a skill that I learned at outpatient therapy. It's the CBT model, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and there's kind of a chart that you can fill out or think about. You don't have to like actually write it down, but it's helpful for kind of changing the way you feel by changing your behaviors and thoughts. So I'm gonna kind of go through that chart with you guys so you guys are able to do it yourself or think about it yourself to change a behavior that you think is problematic in your life or change a thought that you think is problematic. So I'm just gonna start here with the basic thing. So we have the thoughts, and we have the emotions, and we have the behaviors, and then the physical reactions. And it's all related to each other. So there's connections to each one, and they're all connected through the middle too. Okay, so let me just make that smaller. Okay, so that's in the middle. And so when we're talking about challenging thoughts that aren't helpful, which is the basic thought that I'm going to do, so there's, okay, I'm just gonna write that at the top for you guys. Challenging thoughts that aren't helpful. So the activating events is the first thing that we usually start with. So I'm going to put that in the corner here. Oh, why is it doing that? Oh my god. Oy. Okay. Activating events. So activating events for these thoughts about insecurity and just everything related to that can be interacting in groups, because that often makes people feel insecure about, you know, anything that they're going through themselves. And it's just writing a bunch of things at first that makes you feel the way that is unhelpful, I guess. So basically what we're doing is feeling insecure. So interacting in groups, and then some other things might be like comparing yourself to others. So we'll write that. Self to others. You could be insecure about not following a certain timeline that you set for yourself or that other people are following. And I know that's a big deal for me, not being able to follow a timeline. Because I know that I've had to accept that I'm not going to graduate at the same time that everyone else is. I've had to accept that I've had to take more chill semesters because of mental health issues. And earlier on, I was always like, why is this happening to me? Why can't I just be like everyone else, sort of thing. But over time, I was like, it's not about doing what everybody else is doing, it's about doing what's best for me and what I want to do with my life. Because, I was taking everything slow at first because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to do chemical engineering. I thought I was going to do biochemistry. I thought I was going to do nursing. And I finally landed on psychology because I really actually enjoyed that stuff. And more recently, I've been orienting more towards education and like perhaps doing psychological research for education reform in the long term, but teaching and doing everything before going to grad school. And I know that there are people who have graduated on time that can't find a job that they want. So it's all about, doing what you want. And so that takes us in to changing thoughts. I just said a bunch is like accepting your own path. And that kind of goes down to here. I don't know actually where radical acceptance would go, but I don't know if I ever told you guys about radical acceptance. I can make a video on it, but that is basically just accepting you can't control everything. And accepting where you are at the moment, that you will do what you can to improve your situation and to move forward and deal with everything that's going wrong, but that it won't happen immediately, and just accepting where you are now. You can also thought challenge in other ways, so that's basically the biggest thing. Thought challenge, which is just taking a thought and challenging it with who I'm sorry, what am I saying? Thought challenge is just taking a thought and thinking about evidence that refutes it. So this could be anything, like if you're talking about, being in college and taking everything slow, you can thought challenge with, I got in, I got accepted to this college, or, you know, or who says that I, don't belong here or that I'm behind? Who said that? And it's often just us. So we're the ones that needs to change our mindset. No one else is gonna look at us and be like, you know, you're not good enough because you didn't finish college in 4 years, or you're not good enough because you didn't find a job right after college, or you're not good enough because you're taking a year off to focus on yourself. Actually, I would say that people would be thinking the opposite, that people would be encouraging you to take time off for yourself and actually really admire you for, taking the time to focus on yourself and say, well, a lot of people don't actually do that. People struggle in college and they feel like they have to stay and, suffer. But, you know, taking that time off for yourself can be good. So, you know, there's that. And there's also a thing that I learned called thought stop and switch. So that's basically immediately stop thinking about a thought that is unhelpful. Um, so this requires you to be cognizant of what you're thinking about and knowing that a thought is unhelpful right when it starts. So you're like, it takes some practice, especially if you end up ruminating, but um you have to recognize a thought as it comes and be like, this is not helpful, and then just immediately think about something else. Um, so thoughts that are unhelpful can be, hold on, I was supposed to write this before, but I can move this up. So thoughts that are unhelpful, I can change this to red because we don't want it, is like, oh, that was not red. Okay. Like, I don't belong here. Um, everyone pities me, or, everyone feels bad for me. And it's like, how do we fight those thoughts? Those are just some thoughts. You can really expand on that, but that is the basic part of thoughts. You think something and then you change your thoughts. And the emotions that are associated with insecurity can be sadness, sadness. You can feel shame, feeling vulnerable or embarrassed, hopeless, overwhelmed, all those negative emotions. So those are the emotions that are associated with, insecurity and those activating events. Say you're like interacting with a group and you don't feel comfortable with them because you feel like an outsider, that might make you feel, vulnerable or embarrassed, or any of these emotions. Any behaviors that you can do. First, I'm going to actually say the behaviors that are associated with this that are not helpful. So, one thing is negative self talk. So, that's basically going along with everything that I put in the thought section, where it's like, I don't belong here, everyone pities me, or I don't, fit in. So that's negative self talk. Anything that you're saying to yourself that puts you down, basically. So it also goes along with this ruminate. And ruminating is just being inside your head all the time, not really being in the moment, but yeah, thinking about everything. So that goes along with negative self talk. You often like think so hard about yourself and negative things about yourself. Okay, so behaviors that can change this. Self-soothe. I think I went into it a little bit in a different video. Self-soothing is just, you know, taking time to do things or say things that is soothing, and that can be anything like, stepping back and comforting yourself with thoughts, or physically, um like having the stuffed animals that I mentioned. Of course, if you're in a big group, you might not have that, but just moving yourself a little bit and taking some time to get into things. uh, and, doing positive self talk instead. I can put that in positive self talk. So that's basically just the opposite of negative self talk, of course, but like doing what we put in the thoughts. Uh, Basically just challenging those negative thoughts, negative self talk with positive self talk. We also have OEA, and I've talked about this before, but it's the opposite of emotion action. So when you want to, just leave a group, go home, or you want to stay in bed and not go out because, of your insecurities and not being wanting to be around other people, doing the opposite of what your emotions are telling you. You know, this doesn't always work because sometimes your emotions are telling you to do something good and you should be doing that. But when you have emotions that are trying to force you, or not force you, but motivate you to do something that will make you feel more comfortable in the moment, when you really could try to be more social, you could try to put yourself out there. This is just a narrow example about like social stuff, but OEA can be anything. It can be wanting to stay in bed when you really should get up for the morning and it's like 11 a.m. Um, Another thing is taking small steps. Everything takes time. When you're in a group, you may not feel comfortable. You may not want to be the center of attention. Small steps might be, saying a small thing when someone makes a joke, or offering a little story of yourself that relates to something that someone else said. So taking these small steps, or even if you're not a social person and you're at home all the time, taking the small step of going out, seeking out a club to join, seeking out anybody really to be with, to make you feel more comfortable in with other people and eventually in groups. Um, there's also a ton of other things that help um, mindfulness. Um, so that's just, you could do, what's it called, meditation, or just anything to be mindful of your own emotions and thoughts, and eventually switch up your thoughts and behaviors to make yourself feel less insecure over time. There's also a wise mind. That's balancing uh, logic and emotion. So that could be like um, when you feel sad or vulnerable or shameful or angry, but you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. I should just feel okay with this situation because there's nothing that's going wrong. Taking the middle ground. And that's another thing, the middle ground, is it doesn't have to be black or white. No black or white. You can take the middle ground and have that wise mind where you're balancing logic and emotion. You're not thinking in black or white. Things don't have to be all or nothing. You can, go out of the house first and, you know, interact with people at the store as a first step instead of, going to this big dinner party that someone's hosting, you know. So you can also journal to, why do I keep doing that? Journal to keep track of your thoughts. And also, a big thing is willingness. That's huge because without willingness, you're not going to be able to do any of the things that I talked about. You have to be willing to thought challenge. You have to be willing to do the behaviors that will help, self-soothe, small steps, mindfulness, journaling. So that's a huge one. You can also just ride the wave. And that's a different thing that I learned at the place. It's just experiencing the emotion you're going through and kind of diffusing the negative thoughts that are bringing it. And it kind of like, as the wave comes, it goes up and then you diffuse it. So it's like the emotions are going high and then you fight it. And physical reactions may not be really applicable to this one because it's about insecurities, but you might become like, you might have like clammy hands because you're so nervous, or sweaty. Sweat is a big thing. You might, you know, have the shakes. I don't know. These are just random things that I'm writing, but here we are. We have the whole thing. This is something that you can do. So you have, the challenging thoughts here. And we talked about insecurity, activating events, and then the thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and physical reactions that go with it. Everything is related to each other, thoughts and emotions over here, behaviors and thoughts go together, physical reactions and emotions, everything is linked. And by changing just one thing, you're changing everything, which is basically the CBT model. If you guys want to do this on your own, this is where you start. You can just write out this chart or think about the chart and think about ways you can change your behavior or thoughts in order to change your emotions and physical reactions. Because it's not fun when you're feeling all these negative emotions. It's not fun when you get negative physical reactions. But we can change our thoughts and behaviors. And those in turn will help the uncomfortable emotions and physical reactions. So yeah, that's it for today. If you guys liked this video, please comment on other things you might want me to do the CBT model on. I'm kind of trying to diversify my channel. I know that I've been uploading less often than I have in January. I was trying to upload like twice a week in January because of the challenge, and also I had more time, but now it's like I am slammed with homework and studying for different things. So yeah, I also joined a club, which is really exciting. I know that goes along with what we talked about in this video, but I joined a club and it's basically like playing music, and we're eventually going to perform at senior centers or daycare centers. So that's really fun. I think it's good to join clubs. I'm having a good time with that. It just makes it so that my Tuesdays and Thursdays are really long because the club is at 6 to 7 and I leave in the morning at like 9. So that's a long time to be away and, out. But it's fun. I think it's worth it. And when I'm at school, I focus better. So, Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you stayed this long, I will try to make more videos and upload more often maybe, but once a week for sure, and hopefully every Friday. So, yeah, please like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you guys next time.